Yo, good people. It's your homie HerbMan, and you back upside the head with another hot banger boogie. Hey, look, go tell somebody to go tell somebody your homie is on, man. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. Go ahead and hit that logo right at the bottom of your screen right there and hit that notification bell so that you never miss what your homie HerbMan is trying to give to you. All right, so a lot of people are talking about, or not talking about, a lot of people are asking me or inquiring about how we go about um, our processes here at HerbMan Inc. What does it feel like to come into our healing facility, and what are some of the things that we do to kind of help our clients or customers get to uh, the point of healing, all right, to where they're healed. And that's a great question. It's a great inquiry. So I kind of want to allow you guys a little bit into our process, all right, and how we do this. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. This is going to be helpful information. So the first thing that we do here, that we understand that is necessary, is obviously we have to get a back history. All right, we got to get some kind of historical data of family history, just about what you're dealing with individually, personally. What are some of the things going on with the customer or client when it's concerning their family structure, their love life, um, their career choices, all those types of things. We just try to get to know the person. And in getting to know the person, you can kind of get a understanding of the habits of the individual, and then you can kind of carve out where why this individual may be um, dealing with this particular issue, just based on their lifestyle, based on their habits and things of that nature. And so you try to get a picture of the person, because a lot of times the individual, once you get to know that individual, things will be revealed through just knowing the person. Okay, so talking it out and conversing is definitely the first thing. Getting to know the client is very much of the foundation of where we start. After that, once we get that conversation in, and we know, the love life, we know the family structure, we know the career structure, we know, a lot of, the intentions of the client, what they want to do, currently where they're at, and then you can kind of get a gist of the mindset of the individual. Also, you can get a gist of the level of stress, the stress factor on that person, so that you can always factor in all of these outside external things that also will substantiate any type of sickness or disease. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to. That whole historical data is the external things, right? And then also the person will give you some wherewithal on what they're dealing with personally. All right, and that'll give you that internal information that you're going to need, and you need both of those. Okay, so that's the first thing, is getting a lot of information from the client and from the customer. After that, then we can utilize different modalities based on the conversation, and also based on the information just straight from the patient, like the birth date, um, the part of town the person lived on. You can do a lot of things with that as well when we're talking about medical astrology, right? And this is just that modality that we utilize to kind of let a person know things to look out for. All right, don't necessarily mean that you're gonna be suffering from these things or not. But a lot of times when we roll out the medical astrology based on birth dates and whereabouts, um, uh, you wouldn't believe how accurate that some of that medical astrology information really is, and it is really helpful to get narrowing down to what can cause certain situations. A lot of times, you're never really doing anything by surprise. All right, and so medical astrology is that one tool that we can utilize to show the patient that a lot of this stuff is written in the stars. It's not by surprise that you're sick at this point. It's not by surprise that you are dealing with this issue at this point. A lot of it could be that it was already written in your cards or in your chart, so to speak, about some of the things you may be susceptible to. And because you didn't know that information, and because you were already susceptible to it based on family history, genetics, and all these different things, and also the universe already had your life charted out, right? And if you don't know these things, if you don't have that information, unfortunately for the most of us, we'll fall right into the same pitfalls that previous people before us have done. Okay, so medical astrology is one of those things that just try to give some type of prognosis or give some type of diagnosis as to maybe what you would be dealing with or should be dealing with. And with medical astrology, we don't only say, well, if you are Aries and you need to have a headache or whatever. We also go by body parts, right? So you may not be an Aries, but you may be dealing with an Aries issue, if that makes sense. You may be a Gemini, but you may be having headaches, right? And in the region of the head, that's Aries. Okay, the throat is Taurus. All right, your shoulders and your arms is Gemini. Okay, your chest is Cancer. All right, your heart is Leo. Your stomach is Virgo. All right, you see how that goes. Your private parts are Scorpio. Your hips are Sagittarius. Your knees is Capricorn. Your ankles are Aquarius. Your feet are Pisces. You don't have to be a Pisces and have feet problems. You could be a Leo having feet problems, right? But we still need to look at Pisces as the area of the body, the location of the body that you're having the issues in, right? So again, you can kind of utilize a lot of that information to pinpoint where things are. And then with medical astrology, you have a slew of things you can do for those issues, okay? Um, and so we do use that, and then we come about with, okay, this person truly is an Aries, right? Now if you're born in the first 10 days of the zodiac, right, you would be considered. Um, well, actually, if you're born 3 days before the change of the zodiac and 3 days after the change of the zodiac, then you're both of those signs. You're both of those signs. If you are born in the middle of that zodiac, right, and let's say just let's use a number, from May 31st to May 10th, you're a pure zodiac sign. If you're born the first 10 days of that, right, from the May 21st to the 31st, then you're just coming into that sign. And if you're in that 3 day mark, then you're part of the last sign. Okay, so we utilize that, and there is information that is included into the herbs you can take for different areas and locations. So let's say if you're dealing with Aries, they're going to be herbs that you can take for issues dealing with the Aries. Okay, we got the herbs and everything. Matter of fact, I have my little go-to because there's so much information. So for Aries, again, like I said, it's going to be about the head and the head area and all those types of things that can happen there. But we also got herbs that we can attribute to those body parts. When you're talking about the brain, you got ginkgo, gotu kola, brahmi. You got the gums. You're talking about clove, a barberry. You got the eyes. We're talking about eyebright, bilberry. You got headaches. You're talking about honeysuckle. Allergies. You're talking about nettles, butterbur, fenugreek. All of these different things that can help out. Okay, so when you tell me that you're dealing with a foot problem and it's in Pisces, then we could talk about what what kind of things you're dealing with, because a lot of the Piscean issues are what we consider to be hard to cure, because it has something to do with the lymphatic system, and we know lymphatic system deals with cancers and things of that nature, and you really have to flush your lymphatic system, and it's a slew of things you got to do. But we also have herbs for the lymphatic system, like kelp, self-heal, burdock, Irish moss. Okay. For the feet, we got white willow, American ginseng, teasel, So those are some of the things that we do when you come in here to really narrow down the body part, the body system, okay, and then we go in with the detoxification of those things, right, and then we go into the revitalization of that organ system and yourself, right, and we prescribe foods which are whole food, plant-based, okay, and then we provide the herbs that you need, but at the same time we uh, once we get the session started based off the information, the first thing is to calm you down and get you into a place of healing. See, a lot of times we go into something like how we go to the doctor. You see what I'm saying? And we all know that the doctor scares the hell out of people. You can't get no healing when you're scared, when you're fearful. You're not going to be able to get any healing when you really don't believe the doctors, right? You need a second opinion. You need this, you that. You know, when a person hears about cancer, they're scared, and that's when the deterioration really starts. It's not when they take chemo. It's when you hear the word cancer, you start to worry and stress your little self straight into the grave. When you hear about diabetes, you start to restrict yourself and just or either and a lot of times, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of us sometimes when we hear something, we do more damage to our bodies. We eat worse than we ever did before. It's almost like a death sentence. So it's like, oh, okay, they told me I'm about to, I got this, so the hell with it. I'm about to eat whatever I want to eat with, and it is what it is, right? So different people do different things, and that's why mentally this is where we start. Mentally, this is where we start. After we do the conversations, after I do the medical astrology and try to really pinpoint things, now we get into meditation. That's the first thing I'm working on, is the mind of the client or customers that walk through the doors into Herb Inc. Okay, into HerbMan Inc. We're talking about the mind. We deal with the mind first. And the reason why is because a lot of times, I'm going to be honest with you, the body heals itself. The body heals itself. Again, I will say that I'm just a preparer. I'm just preparing the place for your healing to take place. And the first location I had to start with is your mind. And so what we like to do with the mind is a lot of meditation and a massage, so that we can decompress the individual. We could take the load off, the stress off of the information you just found out. Because what I like to try to do in that first conversation information piece is to let the person know that it can be reversed. We can deal with it. No matter how bad, no matter how worse, no matter how hard it looks like, we can deal with it. Now, I'm not God. So with that being said, if God wants you, He gonna take you no matter what we do, no matter what the doctors do, no matter where you go. When it's your time, you have to leave here, and it ain't nobody else's fault. Okay? It's nobody else's fault. I want to put that out there to be understood, that sometimes when you gotta go, there is nothing that we can do to stop that. But for the most part, if it's not your time, then it's an opportunity to come up out of something that most people don't come up out of. See, when we're talking about not your time, some people give up their life and some people will fight for it. So when it's not your time, if you're able to fight for it, you will survive. But if it's not your time and you give up, then you would be just like a lot of us. We die before our time from things that could be circumvented, things that you could have healed yourself from. There is nothing on planet Earth at this particular point that you can't come from other than God's call. I'll repeat that. There is nothing here on planet Earth that you cannot reverse, cure yourself, or heal from other than the call of God. Now, when that happens, time to go. Okay? So with that being said, the mind is the first thing that we start to work on. We start to decompress. We start to take the stress out of the person. We start to let the person understand that that's the first place. That's the first place, because once you allow me in here, then you have allowed me in here, right? Then you've allowed me to kind of start to work on the spirit of the person. But I first got to get through the blockages of here in order to get into your spirit, right? Then I start dealing with the spirit on what is it that we are trying to do and accomplish. But I'm just speaking in frequency to the spirit through oils, through music, right? Through meditative music, through oils, through my energy, right? From the massaging and from the talking to you and from the frequency that is going on inside of HerbMan Inc. We speak to the spirit. Let the spirit know that we are preparing this person for healing of itself. Okay? So you got to go through the 3 levels of an individual: mind, spirit, and then the body. First we deal with here. Then we deal with the spirit and we communicate with it and let it know exactly our intentions, not from me, but from the client and customer. So what I mean by that is I have to get this client and customer to tell itself to heal itself. Get that? I have to get this client or customer to communicate to its insides through frequency, meaning through mental frequency. Tell itself, I want you to heal me. Kidney organ, fix yourself. Prostate, fix yourself. Heart, fix yourself. Lungs, fix yourself. And we can communicate with our insides through our mental capacity. And once we merge the mental with the spirit and that communication flows, now you're talking to your cells. Not yourself anymore. Now you're talking to your cells. And you're telling your cells what to do. The frequency has came from your nervous system all the way through your body, and it's telling your cells to do the thing that is necessary. Okay? And once we get to that point, we accompany the physical transformation that is happening with the supplements or the foods that are needed to help support the cells in the regeneration of a faulty body part or body system. That's how we heal, people. That's how we heal here at HerbMan Inc. There's a lot of stuff that I left out of that, but that's the understanding and the foundation of holistic healing from an Atlanta, Georgia native. That's what I do. That's what I do to myself. That's what I do to my wife. That's what I do to the people that come in my presence. I am not only the president of HerbMan Inc., I am also a client. Okay? So we don't tell you stuff that we ain't done, because the only way I'm going to know that it works is to do it on myself. It's to implement it on the people that I love. And I have an affinity for each and every person that walks through my door. My level of love for that individual gets to a point to where I'm selflessly in love with the human body and the purpose for that life here. And I hate the fact, I hate it, that they cannot perform the way that they would want to in this life. And I'm gonna tell you something, and the reason why that irks me, because people that have issues here on this physical plane sometimes like to blame the bad experiences on this plane on those situations. The fact that somebody died and you couldn't stop it. The fact that somebody got sick and you don't know why. Oh, is there a God? Oh, is this? Oh, is that? And you start to look at life in a more hateful, a more hurtful way. And you have a lot of human beings out here that see life not as the greatest experience. And I'm here to tell you it is. And so you have to change that perspective in order for a person to really get the essence of life out. And so when I see a one-legged person, a one-armed person, a one-eyed person, or a person that just cannot operate their bodies in the efficient capacity that they would like to based on how we were designed, I hate that, because that person is going to have a skewed understanding of what life really is. And if I can get that person to revitalize and rejuvenize the 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 lust for life, the love for life back again, that even though you got one leg, you're still here enjoying the experience, or you should enjoy the experience. Even though you got one eye, even though you have a bad heart, you're still alive. And you being still alive is an opportunity for you to gain a better experience in the time that you have left here on earth. And sometimes it may not be that you are required to be whole to be happy. And sometimes God will say, yes, make the transformation happen so that I can show this person that I've always been here and I've always been for the good of those that are here and not for the bad. A lot of stuff we do is self-inflicted. And what I mean by that is not just on an individual basis, but on a social basis. A lot of the stuff we do is human afflicted. And the earth will pay us back for not knowing. You know, there's a passage that says many of us die for the lack of knowledge. You don't know what you don't know. So again, we utilize those things to bring the person into acceptance of what they're about to encounter. And once they accept the healing comes a lot faster. The herbs work a lot better. The foods operate a lot better. And the person begins to recover a whole lot faster. Okay? So that's, in a nutshell, without making this video 1,000 hours long, that's what we do. A lot of the other stuff, you guys got to come to Atlanta, Georgia, to HerbMan's Inc. to see what we do. Okay? To see what we do. I don't claim to be anybody but a messenger. I'm a messenger. I know that. I was going to do this regardless, whether I did it in a church or whether I do it on YouTube. I was born for this. But I wanted to do it at the capacity that really showed forth the God in the earth, not the man. Not the man. So with that being said, we also provide different modalities outside of meditation and massaging and all of that. We also have the ligament stretching so that we can, again, decompress. We can start the circulation flowing. We can start the blood flowing. And we can start the transportation of these herbs and these nutrients to the body parts and to the organ systems that are necessary. So a lot of times what happens within us when we're sick is that we hold stuff in. See, when you got a blockage, it doesn't necessarily let stuff in, or it may not necessarily let stuff out. So let's say if we take what Hippocrates said for the gut, right? If you have blockages in your gut and you're not letting anything out, then how can disease come out? How can sickness come out of you? If you only pooping so often How can we get the sickness out of you? Okay? If you have a blood clot in your lungs or something like that, it's going to affect your brain. So how can we get the mental clarity? How can we get herbs? How can we get foods that operate on that brain or operate on that clot? Is we gotta get the circulation. We got to bust through these blockages. So when we're talking about sickness, it happens through stagnation and constipation or blockages in our bodies in some form or fashion. So in order for herbs and foods to work, there has to be a free flow of transportation. There has to be, you remember, your blood is what carries the oxygen and the nutrients to every place in your body. So if you're having blocked arteries here and blocked arteries there and blocked veins here and blocked veins here, right, going to and fro the heart, it may can't get to the systems that are necessary for your healing to come about. So we do things like acupressure and ligament stretching to open up these meridians, open up these highways, these super highways to your main systems and to your main organs. Okay? A lot of us are holding on to our sicknesses. Hear me out. I know you want to be healed, but a lot of us are how do you hold on to your sickness? If a situation is making you sick and you're still in that situation, you're holding on to your sickness. If a person is making you sick and you're still around that person, you're holding on to your sickness. If the environment you in is making you sick and you're still in that environment, you're holding on to your sickness. If there are foods that make you sick and you won't stop eating them, you're holding on to your sickness. And as long as you keep holding fist tight onto your sickness, you're not letting anything in. A tight fist is just the same thing as a block, stagnation, and constipation. It needs to be free flowing. You got to open it up. You got to open your hand and drop the bad foods. Drop the bad person. Drop the bad environment out of your hands. And we will replace that with a good environment, good people, good food. There you can close your hands back on what's good. Because what's good doesn't block, stagnate, or constipate the body. Okay? So those are some of the things I wanted to address to you guys for you to understand. Now, if you want to know the foods that you should eat, I don't talk a whole lot about foods because I'm not a nutritionist, but I do know that you should be eating whole food, plant-based. Whole food, plant-based. I ain't talking about being a vegan or a vegetarian, and I'm not talking about not eating meat. A whole food, plant-based is a person who is searching out the purity in their foods to make sure they're coming from plants. When you're looking at meats, you need to make sure that your meats are not corn-fed, grass-fed plants. You need to make sure your fishes that you're eating, all your fish, salmon, catfish, mackerel, I don't care what it is, that is not farm raised on corn, because that's what they farm raise your fish on, corn. But that is wild caught. Wild caught salmon. I know y'all don't like that wild caught salmon because it don't taste as good as that little light skinned salmon. But the wild caught is better for you. And if you're going to eat salmon, eat it the right way or go and find something else. I know everybody like that catfish. And I know Mississippi good about raising them catfish. But if they corn feeding them, nah, you need to do some wild caught catfish. You need some wild caught spring trout. You know, you need to do some wild caught red snapper. Wild caught mackerel. Hell, when I was growing up, my family loved fishing. And we used to eat brims and bass full of bones. But they were wild caught. We caught them ourselves in the wild. I know, farm pond. So these are some of the things that you got to look at. All right, whole food, plant based. These are your nuts, your lentils, your beans, your dark leafy green vegetables. These are the seeds that you can eat. Okay. Again, we just talked about the fish. These are your mushrooms. These are your whole grains. I'm talking about stuff that's high in mineral. I think I went over that in the other grain video. Not just quinoa and all that old crap that they told us, but I'm talking about amaranth, fenolia. Those are the types of stuff that could really have impact on you. Plant-based milk. All right, not no cow milk, plant-based milk. Again, we talked about the meats, avocados, all that type of stuff is going to be good. Cacao, all right, is good. Plant, you know, dried fruit, all right, eating the skin off the dried fruit will have medicinal properties that can add to your body. So when you're looking at these whole food, plant-based foods, then you need to be understanding that they are the healing foods. Okay, they have some type of medicinal properties if cooked properly, if prepared properly to you, and that can add value to you where you don't have to use medicines or pills at all. You can just use food. And remember that these herbs are really foods as well. Okay, these herbs are just foods as well. So you can add the herbal things in as foods. Goji berry, hawthorn berry, all these things are foods. They are berries. Whole food, plant-based diet. Okay, add that in now. Drink you some really good water. Okay, walk around the neighborhood. You don't have to run. Everybody is not designed to run. Walking will do you just as much, not just physically, but also mentally. Mentally, if you walk, especially those who have in stressful environments and stressful situations that they in and day out, please walk. Y'all, please walk. Teachers that out here teaching our children, walk around that same track that them children walk around in the back of that school so that you can decompress, whether it be before you go in the classroom or either before you go home to your family. Decompress, ladies, men, especially the teachers, people who are in highly stressful situations. Walk, don't run. Walk, because running, you just trying to get finished fast. Walk it out and talk it out amongst yourself. Think it out amongst yourself and start formulating that relationship with self, because that's what I got to utilize when you walk through my doors is, do you have a relationship with yourself strong enough that you can communicate with yourself? I need to have that. And you need to be able to build that within yourself. You don't got to listen to everybody. Sometimes that walk and that quiet time, don't put no earphones in there, because you need to hear nature. Because when you hear nature, all you hearing is yourself. You don't need to be influenced in your thought pattern. Allow it to run free. Okay? So these are some of the things that we prescribe. These are prescriptions, lifestyle changes, herbs, essential oils, foods. That's all I prescribe. That's all I prescribe. So if you are looking for real, holla at your boy. Holla at your boy, man. It is not easy, but it's definitely possible. And I'm doing my own healing at the same time healing people. And that's the best way you want to be. Again, you want to be the president and the client, because you're coming from a place of genuineness. You're also coming from a place of application. You knowing exactly what something does. And here's the thing, what it does for me, it may not do for you. But at least I know what to look for. I'm not a doctor who is prescribing you a drug that he ain't taking because he don't need to take it. So how you know it's going to work for you? So let's be mindful of what we're not mindful of. and let's try to help ourselves by dealing with ourselves in a precious way, and knowing that you are important and you are loved. And although you may not experience that in your immediate environment, you still can experience the ultimate experience. You still can experience it. And so I appreciate all of you, man, that tune in, that follow me, that subscribe. But I'm really not here for that. I'm just a little mouse in a maze trying to squeak and say, hey, I know the way out. And if you can hear me, then let him who have an ear hear. I love you guys, man, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And until next time, love HerbMan. Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show.